What's going on, everybody? This is Nick from House of Paint 203, bringing you the second part of the Young Copper Dragon series here on my YouTube channel. In part one, we gave him an all-over base coat of hammered copper from Vallejo Game Color. And in this part, we are going to be giving him a wash as well as a dry brush on certain portions of his wing membranes and his scales. So we still have some stuff to do, so let's jump right in. As always, I want to give a special shout out to friend of the show, Dominic Marriott, owner and founder of Credit UK, all the way across the pond in the UK. Dominic is a crafter of dice trays, dice vaults, dice boxes, dice towers, you name it, Dominic makes it, and you should check out his stuff so that you can up your game at your gaming table as soon as possible. While you're here, be sure to smite like and slam subscribe so that you can stay up to date on all the content that I am putting out there in my quest to paint the manual. And again, we are on the Young Copper Dragon. My first dragon on this channel. A couple weeks ago we did the Wyvern, which is the cousin of the dragons, but this is the first of the true dragons. Obviously one of the metallics. My fourth metallic that I've painted the silver, the bronze, and the brass. Now I am on the silver, and before long we will get to the gold. But these guys are a lot of fun, relatively straightforward. I mean, you could see the image on the back of the blister pack for the Young Copper. Pretty much just one color across his entire body. We are going to get a little bit more creative than that. It's really on the older dragons, at least in the manual. It's really on the older dragons, such as the adults and the ancients, that you start to see the the aging in the wings, and the discrepancies in colors and stuff like that. But I'm definitely going to be putting in some rusting effects on his wings, on his scales. So we'll see a little bit of how those effects go as well, and I'm excited to dive right in here. I'm going to start off with a Sepia Wash, a Seraphim Sepia, which is a shade by Citadel, and as you know, I am a fan of the Sepia washes, especially on going over something that's already brown in nature, or in this case copper. So I'm going to take my large brush, dilute the wash just a little bit. Wash is already very diluted, but dilute it just a little bit. And I'm going to go in on the wings right up here. And you can really see that start to bring out the texture in those membranes, especially. And that's really all I want. Create that shadow. I want to eliminate pooling. Holding the model on its sides so that I can kind of help the wash settle where I want it to. Just moving it this way and that. You can see the depth that it does create. I do have some pooling down here along the where it meets the body. So I'm going to take a smaller brush and I'm just going to kind of redirect it, move it around just a little bit. Feather it up along the spines of the wings, because that's really where I want the shadow to pool in the creases where the membranes meet the spines. Alright, well I got them this way. I'm actually going to go in on the back portion of this wing. And then I'll just kind of flip the model once those sides dry so that I can get it in reverse. You can definitely see it picking out the texture. I'm not going too crazy with the wash. I don't want it to be crazy pronounced, just enough where we could see depth. Now those two portions of the wings are dry. I'm going to go on in here with, on the opposite sides. That pull up nice. Not pull up, but let that settle in the recesses there. See all that detail catching. Let that sit for a little while. While it's happening, I'm going to give the belly scales a little bit of a wash as well. Really bring out those shadows, especially underneath. All right, so the wash is now dry, and I want to go in on the belly scales. I'm going to be using Khaki by Vallejo Game Color. Alright, so I'm gonna kind of be doing a test run here on a color that I would like to use as a mid-tone highlight. I'm gonna be going with Sycorax Bronze, which is a Citadel layer. I think it'll be a nice complement to the hammered copper. So I'm gonna start putting it in the raised areas of the miniature. I'm starting on the back because, you know, obviously I don't want it to be in an area that's seen by everybody, especially if you know, it doesn't look good, but I actually really like that. Kind of just riding the spine, doing a little freehand. Huge success. Right down the tail. I'm getting a whip of these plates. Using the side of my brush here to just catch kind of the raised areas. In on the spines, just at the top of the spines. All right. I would call that experiment successful. I actually really love that Sycorax Bronze as a highlight, and I'm glad that I did it on the inside. So I was actually thinking of, actually thinking of grazing over the outside with a lighter gold to give it more of a sheen, which I think I'm still going to do, but I think I'm going to do that over the bronze now. So I'm going to finish up this side, the back portion of the young copper, with a dry brush of Sycorax Bronze, and I think that's going to look really cool. Alright, so I got the dry brush. This is in a pot here, so I'm actually going to pull some out of the lip. Load up that brush, and we're just going to get it all until we practically have nothing on the brush. You're getting all sides of that brush. You can always add paint, but it's hard to take paint away. So we're going to see going against the grain here, right over that texture. Doing the trick. Look at the dry brush side versus the non-dry brush side. Again, this is a mistake that I made frequently when I first started painting. I would always have too much paint on my dry brush still, because I would always be under the illusion that there was nothing on the brush after a certain point. It's just not true. There's going to be paint on your brush, and a lot of times it's going to be the right amount of paint on your brush just when you think you have nothing on there. You might have just enough. Sometimes you might not have enough, and just go add more. It's kind of a little cat and mouse. Really happy with that bronze as the highlight. It's doing some really nice things on the back of this copper. I want to start dry brushing his muscles over here, because there's some really good texture on those muscles that I want to catch. That bronze is doing some nice things. It really is. Something, you know, if you're trying something and it ends up looking really good from your perspective, and you want to roll with it, just roll with it, which is what I'm doing here. This is just the mid-tone as well. I'm going to play around with some more effects, especially on these wings. Definitely want to give him a copper patina. But I think that's looking pretty good, especially for a mid-tone. So the belly's done. The mid-tone highlight is applied. I may go back in certain areas with the Sycorax Bronze, and just kind of, such as on the plates on his arms. But I think he's looking all right. Just checking out his base, which I also want to do. I have some plans for his base. One of my favorite poses, actually, from any of the dragons that I've worked with, definitely. Got that. I have the young red here, which is also a pretty sweet pose. Kind of picture him like kind of coming down on some travelers there, but. I love that he's kind of like taking off, it looks like. So I do have some plans for his base, but we'll get to that in part 3. Really, really happy with it. So I think this is a good place to stop for now. This has been part 2. In part 3, we're going to finish up with the detailing on the young copper, as well as including giving him some copper patina, which is the rust effect that copper has on his wings. We'll go in there with a final highlight of gold, very carefully and very deliberately. Finish up his belly scales. We'll bring out his eyes. We'll bring out his mouth. We'll bring out his claws. We'll work on his base, and then we'll be ready to call this one. But thus far, he's starting to come alive a little bit. As always, I thank you for watching. Information on how to follow me on all my social media platforms, including my website, www.hop203.com. will be immediately following the video, as will information on how to follow Dominic Marriott, owner and founder of Credit UK. I thank you for watching, and I'll see you for the next one.